Hey, everybody, this is Paul Carruthers. I'm the communication manager for MotoAmerica. I'm joined today by my partner on Off Track with Carruthers and Bice, Sean Bice, who's out in Ohio. Down below us here, we've got JD Beach, who's residing in a small hotel room somewhere in Florida. Are you still in Daytona, or are you somewhere else in Florida?
No, I'm in Palm Coast, which is about 30 minutes north of of the track, and me, Dallas, and Daniels, and Tom Drain we're all renting a house. So we've been down here since January like 5th, and we're here until Daytona. And of course, I'm not racing Daytona, but I'm just here with them, and we're doing some training and some riding and stuff like that.
So, well, tell us a little bit about the Daytona 500. Have you been to that before?
Yeah, so a couple of years ago, I went and watched some of the dual races. So like the ones that lead up to the big race. But this year, actually, they invited the guys that won at Daytona last year. Like so, Kyle and James Raspoy was there. They invited Cody Kopp, and then they also invited Dallas to come too. And I mean, of course, I didn't win anything last year at Daytona, but since I'm staying with Dallas, he brought me with him, and so me and Tom got to go, and we got to watch the race from they call it level 6, which is Bill France's level. So like he's got a bunch of suites up there, and so we got to watch from up there. I mean, it was the best view ever, and it was a like a once in a lifetime thing, and it was really funny because when I showed up to the track, like I went and parked, and I was trying to figure out where to go and how to get up there. And I kind of went up some stairs, and I was like, "Hey, I'm trying to figure out where to go." And they're like, "Okay, where are you going?" I said, "I'm trying to find level 6." And like, "Oh, well, come here this way, sir. You can follow us here." I'm like, "Oh, awesome."
Yeah, they never let Sean and I go beyond level 1.
Nope. Right. That's about it. That's pretty good. So JD, you're still hanging out with those Estenson people, I guess, huh? You still got something going on with that group. You went your own way this year, but you're still an Estenson rider. Let's put it that way. If you're hanging around with Dallas and Tom and those guys, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I'd quite go that far with it. I mean, I definitely have a lot of respect for all the guys on the team, and I had a great time there. And I think for me, the team is just kind of moving in a different direction, and I'm not kind of in that plan with the team, and it's no secret that I'm a little bit older now, but man, for me, I still feel like I got a lot of racing left in me, and I think the team just, I mean, they got two really young guys on the team, and they're great riders, and I just I don't think they saw a need for me there now, and I mean, as a racer, you're a contract worker, and my contract ran up ran out, and they got what they needed out of me, and I feel like I got what I needed out of them, and but we still get along, and I mean, I've got nothing against the team, and so it is great to still get to train and ride with Dallas and Tom, and still kind of get it's good for all of us because they're younger and they push me to be better, and with me, I kind of push them to kind of stay on a schedule and stuff. So man, it's good.
So you're like the dad over there now.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Good luck with keeping on that schedule. So anyway, well, the way I look at it is AFT's loss is MotoAmerica's gain, because we finally get you back and we get you back full time, which is like I mean, I think everybody in the paddock's happy to see that. You're going to be riding a Tytlers cycle, racing BMW in the Superbike class. So, from talking to you the past couple of years, I always got the feeling that's kind of what you wanted to end up doing again. And I know it took a while, but you actually made it happen. And I mean, you got to be ecstatic about it.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it, and I'm looking forward to it. And I feel like road racing, I never got to finish what I started, and dirt track has always been something that's been close to my heart because that's what I grew up doing, and I wouldn't change what I did the last few years. I think as a person and as a rider, I grew a lot and I learned a whole lot. But for me, I want to be on a super bike and I want a chance at going for wins. And I mean, of course, the goal is to get the top title at the end of the year. And we're up against some really fast guys. I mean, Jake has proven what he can do. My teammate, I mean, even though he's some Moto2 guy, I mean, he's fast too, and so I'm really looking forward to it, and I feel like the work that I've done to put myself there has just made me that much better, and I appreciate the chance that I've got a lot. So I think that just makes me, it just makes the drive more.
JD, I don't know this for a fact, but I'm gonna guess based on next year. So, or last year. So Scott Jensen is probably going to eat your crew chief this year. Is that the case?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. So, I mean, how perfect is that? The fact that you worked with him in the past at Road Race Factory, you've known Scott for a long time and everything. And it's like, I don't know, has he ever been your crew chief in the past?
Yeah, I actually worked with Scott for two years in 2012 and 2013. But after that, we stayed in touch, and I mean, it's not like we'd talk all the time on the phone, but every time I saw him, I mean, I'd always make sure I went and said hi to him and stuff, because I really enjoyed the time that I had with him 10 years ago now. But I feel like every mechanic and crew chief that I've had in the past, I mean, racing me is my life, and it's so important, and so I enjoy having a connection with my crew guys. So it's really cool to get the chance to work with Scott again.
Yeah, and I was just going to say, Paul, it's funny just about Scott. A couple things about him. One of them is, I mean, he's a former racer. We know that. I remember him racing. In fact, I think I remember him doing pretty well at Miller at one year when he raced. But he's the type of guy that you gotta really pay attention to what he's doing. And now that Pressure to Rise, he's been on that and shown what he's, how he communicates with riders. He's really good. I mean, he really understands how to talk to riders. And since he knows you so well, that's got to feel like kind of a head start for you to, feel comfortable with him. He kind of knows what you like. You know how to communicate with him. It's got to help you great going in with this new team and this new bike, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I think so. And like I said before, I think these last 4 or 5 years, I've learned a lot, and I've grown a lot as a racer and as just a human, and my eyes have opened a lot just to the world and how lucky we are to race motorcycles, and so I think that's helped a lot. And just the 2 tests that we've done, or that I've done with Scott, it's gone really well. And I feel like, especially all that I learned developing the Essence and Twin has helped my skills, and at the 2 tests that we've done, I feel like I've been able to give really good feedback on the bike, and also helps that the last Superbike that I rode was the attack bike, which has won the last 3 years now. So I've been able to kind of compare the BMW some to that bike, and kind of give them a idea of the feeling that I had with the tack bike. And I kind of do wish now that I would have had an idea that I was going to be road racing again, because then I would have paid attention a little bit more
Yeah.
with the tack to what tires we were using and stuff like that.
Okay, so Cameron Bobier, who's your new teammate, who was your teammate a zillion years ago and some spots in between. He said that for a while in the paddock, it took him a while to be able to walk past the Yamaha truck without like going into the awning, because that's all he really ever knew. And we know you as a Yamaha guy forever. So it's probably going to be a little bit of that same feeling, because you kind of reunited with those guys, at the end of last year and actually won a race with them. But is that going to be a little bit odd? And it's got to help having Cameron in the truck as well, because that's kind of got to feel like home a little bit.
Yeah. So, I guess you could say we tested a few weeks ago, but it was at a track day, so like it wasn't like a full blown test. But it was really cool to work with Cameron again, because of course we've been friends since we were kids, and we were teammates when we were kids, and then we were both on the factory Yamaha team together. Of course, he was on a big bike, and I was on the 600. So but now like we're teammates, like we're working together, and it was super fun. And then not being on a Yamaha now, for me it's weird, because honestly, except for 2011, from the time that I've been pro in 09, I've been on a Yamaha and have been supported by them in some way. So I haven't been to a race yet where the truck is there, but it's definitely it is a weird thing. But I think that first race is going to be really weird, racing a different brand, because I haven't since 09 really.
You touched on the bike a little bit, but I think I read somewhere that you said at the second test, you started to make the bike feel like it was yours again. Obviously, the first test, it was probably a little bit foreign. So how close are you to having it to the point where you feel like you can race it comfortably?
Honestly, I feel like we're pretty close. We haven't been to a track that we race at, but my times are pretty close to Cameron's. And of course, he hadn't been on a bike since Brainerd, but it's Cameron. He's won 5 Superbike and titles. He's qualified pole on a Moto2 bike. He's not a slow guy. So to be somewhat close to him on times made me feel good. And from the first time I rode a bike to the last time, the team made foot pegs, they made bars, they made seats for me. So like I honestly felt really good on the bike, and even when I was road racing before, it's no secret that my qualifying and stuff is not my strong suit. I'm better at race time, and so now that I'm already feeling good on the bike, don't get me wrong, it's going to be a fight every single race, but I feel like I've got something I can fight with.
Yeah, JD, tell us about Cameron a little bit. You're a great person to ask about this because you have known him for so long. Does he seem, as a rider or as a person, however you want to say it, the same guy he was? Does he seem like the same Cameron, or is there something different about how he rides a bike or how he kind of carries himself? Is there anything you could say that comparing what you've known about him over the years?
I would say the way he rides the bike is the same. He's still like it was it was pretty awesome at the last test because we got to ride together some, and I remember racing against him in 2013, and I mean and even in 2019, and so I mean it was cool to watch him ride again because his style is super good, and it doesn't matter if he's on Yamaha, on a Moto2 bike, on a BMW. I mean, he's so smooth and so fluid. But as a person, he's got, just like all of us. We've all aged, and I feel like aging in racing, it can hurt you or it can help you, and I feel like we've both matured a lot, and realize what racing means to us, really, and I think with him being a dad now and spending 2 years in Europe and now coming back, like I think he realizes how cool racing is, and how lucky we are, and so, but also knows that there's life outside of racing, which is kind of weird because, like, all of us for so long, racing is the only thing that mattered, and for all of us, I mean, I think it still is, but we can kind of shut it off a little bit, and I think that's what's going to make us work well together, because what happens on the track happens on the track, but when we go back to the truck or we come up to the next round, like, we can work together and try and make the bike better and make the team win.
Who would have thought, I don't know, not that many years ago, that Cameron Beaubier, JD Beach, and Garrett Gerloff would all be on BMW motorcycles? I mean, it blows my mind to even think that now. So, no,
I was just gonna say, when I signed my deal, it was kind of crazy, I mean, because we all grew up racing together. We were all on the same team, and now me and Cameron are on the same bike, but the same team, but now we're all on the same bike. Is pretty crazy. I mean, especially because there's four or five brands we could be riding. It's all the same.
Right. Well, I want to, that's the other thing. Paul kind of alluded to this a little bit, but the BMW and the Yamaha are both inline 4-cylinder. They're, high RPM motorcycles. It's obviously very different than a Ducati, but they have their own idiosyncrasies. Does it feel, and it's hard for me to even ask you this, JD, I couldn't answer it myself, even though you last raced a Yamaha Superbike, it was last year. So do you have enough muscle memory to notice, does it feel at all similar? Is it completely different than being on a Yamaha, or does it have some similarities?
What I like to say is both bikes have things that they do good, and both bikes have things that aren't as good. And the bike that's going to win is the bike that you can improve its weaknesses a little bit, and then keep the things that it does good. And I think between the two bikes, there's stuff that I feel like it does the same, but then there's stuff that is quite a bit different between the two. But I think for me, one thing that's helped a lot is, other than the last 3 rounds I did last year, I really haven't road raced that much since 2019. And so getting on the BMW, I'm not searching for a feeling. Like, I'm not trying to make it feel like a Moto2 bike, or trying to make it feel like a Ducati or a Yamaha or whatever. Like, I'm just trying to make it feel good for me. Like, I'm not looking for it to feel like something.
Okay, gotcha. But you may have reacted the same way. I think we think that, where we know that Cameron did, when you got on that bike and twisted that throttle, you realize that thing's got a lot of power, right? You notice that.
Yeah, it definitely has a lot of power, but if you can't use it, it doesn't matter.
True. Right. Yeah, that is true. And getting that power to the ground is important. Have you noticed, did you test any different tires, or did you just kind of test what you had last year? And is there been anything different this year about that bike tire wise, from before?
We haven't gotten into that yet, just because we've been doing track days and stuff. So it's kind of hard to test tires, because you get 2 or 3 clean turns and then you're behind a few guys, and then you get maybe 1 or 2 turns, and to get clean laps, it's kind of hard. And so when you're doing that, your tires are warming up, cooling down a little bit, warming up, so it's just not consistent.
Yeah. One thing about you, as many years as you've raced and as many different types of racing as you've done in terms of flat track and road racing on different size bikes and brands of bikes, you haven't really done the Daytona 200 that much, have you?
No, I've only done it, I guess 11, 12. I've done it 4 times.
Oh, more than I thought. Okay. Yeah. I wasn't sure it was that many even.
With 32 Supersport wins, it seemed like he'd be the guy to have on a bike at the Daytona 200. Yeah. Sean and I were talking earlier about, we know you've got that bike, but we're going to try to chip in with some gas money or something. Do you think we can make that? You think we can make the Carruthers and Bice radio show or podcast on your bike? Make that work?
Yeah, we're gonna have to chip in a lot, because I gotta get quick change stuff. I gotta get a motor. I gotta get suspension. No, that's definitely something that I would like to do next year if I'm road racing again. It was something that I thought about doing this year, especially because I'm gonna be there and I'm gonna be watching. So it kind of sucks, but for me, this might be my last shot at a Superbike title, and so I want to go into it as prepared as I can be and not add on too much stuff, and hopefully we can do well this year and get a ride for next year too. And then but if I'm road racing again, I definitely would like to do the 200 on a good bike and see how well I can do.
And not to pat ourselves on the back, but I mean that race has come a long way again. It's like,
it has.
Sean and I were talking earlier. I'm doing a story where it's like I'm going to break out the 15 guys that we think have a chance to win. But it was hard to narrow it. I mean, it was hard to narrow it down to 15. Normally, you'd be trying to find 15, right? But I mean, there's 20 guys that could potentially win that race.
Yeah, it's really cool to see how big it is again. I mean, you got guys coming from Europe. I mean, full teams coming from Europe. So it's really cool to see that race getting so big again. And honestly, I'm bummed that I'm not going to do it this year, just because it seems like there's a lot of hype around it. But hopefully next year I'll get to do it.
We were talking to Jake Lewis about this, JD. So, we've done this before. We've celebrated the fact that the OWB gang, so to speak. I mean, you guys rode bicycles together and trained and all that. And now a lot of you guys are back. Obviously, Roger now is in the booth. But it's kind of backed a little bit to what it was. Nick McFadden was one that hadn't been back as much, but it's changed a little bit, right? Because you guys don't maybe ride bicycles as much. Jake's got a turn track at his place. You've got your track. Do you guys get together and ride like you used to still?
We do, not like we used to. But we've all grown up some, and life has changed some. But I would say I spend just as much time with Jake and Hayden as I used to, but just differently. Like, it's no secret that I love to ride bicycles and mountain bikes and dirt bikes and stuff, and so my day is based around that. But me and Jake and Hayden spend a lot of time riding turn tracks and motocross and stuff like that. And then me and Hayden will ride mountain bikes. of course, Hayden has two kids now, and
yes,
and I'm Uncle I'm Uncle JD to the kids, and the majority of the time that I spend with Hayden is usually with the kids, just because I mean it's a lot of fun. But actually, like the last month I've been in Florida, Hayden's been down here too because he's tested some and stuff like that. So he's been riding motocross with me too, and so no, it's not like it used to be, but we still do spend probably just as much time together riding and doing stuff.
That's great to hear. I'm glad to hear that you guys are still doing that. I mean, I'm not dropping names at all here, but I will tell you, I had to call Hayden this morning and talk to him. I don't even know. I thought he was home. I didn't know is he in Florida right now?
He just got home
okay,
like 2 days ago, but then he's coming back next week. So
okay, yeah. No, it's cool that you guys are all kind of back and doing your thing again. It feels a little bit like you're, how do I put this the right way? You're still, you're still young. It feels a little bit like you have raced a long time. You're getting towards I wouldn't say the end of your career on the track, but you kind of sense that a little bit, which surprises me. I feel like you could keep going for a long time, but just because of the way opportunities are, I totally get that. Not everybody is Josh Hayes and just is able to keep it going that long. But is it do you think you're always going to be at some kind of a track? Will it be a road racing track or will it be a flat track later on down the road?
Yeah, for me, I mean, I definitely, there's going to be an end someday, but right. I don't plan on being done for a long time. I mean, if I could race another 10 years, I'll race another 10 years. If I race 15 more years, I'll race 15 more years. I love it, but I've learned a lot and I've grown a lot, and I've realized to kind of live in the moment a little bit more and appreciate what I'm getting to do. Because when you're 20, 25 and the older guys are telling you it goes by fast, like you don't believe it. But now I've gotten to that point. I'm like, it does go by fast. And so I've realized I've got to appreciate the chances I get to do and the people that I get to be with. And honestly, like, I'm so blessed and lucky that I get to wake up every day with a purpose, and that purpose is to be the best I can be on a motorcycle. And as long as I wake up every morning like I do now, and the first thing I think about is racing, I'm going to keep racing. But I know I got to enjoy it and not let it kind of blend together. And when I do good at a race, like celebrate that win or that podium, because you never know when it's going to be done. And so I like to kind of live that way now and just really take it all in.
Well, speaking of wins and podiums, how difficult it is going to be when Peoria TT shows up?
Yeah,
on that weekend in August or whenever it is. Is that going to be a little heartbreaking for you?
I mean, I would lie if it wasn't, but I feel like I did my time at the dirt track races and I proved what I could do, and my goals have changed for this year, and I mean it would definitely be cool to see if I could keep that streak going, because I've won it the last 3 years, but that track is a hard track, and it doesn't bug me too much that I'm going to be watching that one set of racing.
Right, I get it.
Yeah, along those lines, JD, so I think about you. It's hard for me to almost remember that you were a flat track kid from the Pacific Northwest, but let's talk about this for a minute. You're originally from, I'm going to say, I think it's pronounced Puyallup. Did I do it right?
Well, I'm not from there, and it was a little off, but it's fine. Yeah.
Snoqualmie. Yeah, it's one of those other Indian names. Yeah. That's right. Snoqualmie. Okay, so you're from that area. I don't think have you ever been to Ridge Motorsports Park?
No, I haven't, because I've actually lived in Kentucky longer than I lived out there.
Right,
And
exactly.
and I mean, as far as I don't think, the Ridge is a fairly new track. So
yes.
So no, I haven't been to that track. I mean, of course, I've watched all the rounds from there, and it looks like it's kind of a hard track to learn just because all the blind stuff. So that's definitely a trip I plan on making before we go race there, so I can at least go ride for a day and try and learn the track a little bit.
But I mean, it's cool though. Like you said, you've been in Kentucky longer than you were in Washington, but it's where you were born. So it's kind of interesting. Oh, yeah. It almost feels like you're going back home. It's like, it'll be interesting. You were so young then. I don't even know if you would say, oh yeah, I remember this. You probably necessarily wouldn't. And you've probably been back there since then, obviously, to visit and everything. So it's not like it's completely foreign, but it's cool that we're kind of going back to your home roots, so to speak, I guess, to check that out.
Yeah, no, it is cool. And I've actually been back there, I guess, the last 2 or 3 years, because there was a dirt track race there too. So
that's right.
So and that state has a really big fan base for racing. So I mean, it's really cool, I think, for any race series to go there and race, because I mean, it's no secret that they get a lot of rain and stuff there. So I think during the nice months, people love to be outdoors and go and watch a race.
So going into this coming season, obviously Jake Gagne's the bar that we all shoot for, right? That hasn't changed. Where do you see yourself, like, at least early in the season? I mean, it must be kind of cool that you can at least think back, okay, the race was in the rain, but you still won a race. Does that make a difference that you've done that so recently?
I think it does. I mean, I want to believe it does. I think my goal is I just want to be in the fight, and I think two out of the last 3 years, Jake's won the title and left Atlanta with no points or like really low points. So Atlanta's not going to make or break the year, but I want to make sure I'm up there and I'm fighting and getting good points to build off of. And I mean, I think the way I rode at Coda and Jersey, I mean, of course, Coda or Jersey was in the rain, but I got 2 podiums there, and then Coda I got third the first day, and honestly, the second day, like, I felt like I had pace to be up front, but I made that mistake the first start, and then I started at the back of the grid, and I just got antsy the first lap and crashed, and unfortunately took out Skoltz too. So, but I mean, I feel like I got the pace to run up front and to fight, and it was actually kind of cool because at Coda before that lap before I crashed, Richard said that was the first time somebody had been wide open more the first lap than Jake had. So I knew I was on the gas at least.
Yeah, I mean, the key with him, I think, is to be with him off the start. You've always been a fast starter anyways. I think that goes back to dirt track. But, I mean, if you can get with him and stay with him in the first couple of laps, you know, at least you got a chance. And I think Cameron showed that as well.
Yeah, no, I think so. But I think this year it's going to be really important the first round or two just to be up in the battle and not, but kind of stay clear of chaos. I mean, because there's gonna be a lot of fast guys, and with Baz and Heron and Gagne and Peterson and Bovier, then you got Posh and Richie. Like, And I mean, there's, and I'm sure I'm forgetting some. Scults, if he gets a bike, I mean, there's so many guys, but everybody's going to want to win that first race. So it's going to be really important to be up there, but try and stay clean too.
Yeah, JD, I thought about, again, thinking about your racing career and the fact that you had that short stint last year with Attack. Well, that wasn't your first rodeo with Richard Stamboli. You go way back with him. You raced for him on a superbike when you were pretty young. In fact, I think your number was number 10, wasn't it, when you raced for Richard that in Superbike before? Wasn't that your?
Yeah, because that was back when the series or the team owned the number or whatever.
That's right. This is hard to even say, but is he the same guy he was then? Is he mellower? Is he more intense? Is he about what you thought he was before?
It's so when I worked with Richard in 2011, I was a fresh 18. Right. So I think back then I was intimidated by him. And then I worked with him again in 19 for the whole year. And then I did that one race at Brainerd in 2021, I think it was.
That's right.
And then the last 3 races this year. And Richard is a great guy. And I think he puts up kind of I wouldn't even say he puts up, he's a little hard on the outside.
Right.
But once you get to know him, he's such a great guy, and he definitely, he's serious. He wants to win, and when it's time to be serious, he's serious. But when it's okay to kind of let your hair down a little bit, he does like to make jokes, and he likes to have a good time. And I think it's a little bit different for me because I'm a rider, and I'm not working for him because he makes his guys work, but they do a great job. And that's one thing about that team is they all know what they have to do, and you rarely see them make mistakes. But Richard is truly a great guy, and he just wants to see whoever's riding for him do the best they can do.
Mm.
He really likes Sean and me.
I've heard that.
Well, no, honestly, I'm glad you brought it up because, he has been a little intense, but I'm actually sort of okay with it because I know where he comes from. I know his passion. I understand it. And we appreciate and like the riders that race for him. So we know that, there's obviously something there, and he wins a lot of races. So it's clearly the case. It's a little different for you with Tytlers this year because in the case with Attack, of course, the owner of the team is the one that really, handles things as far as the racetrack goes. But for Tytlers, Michael Kiley, the owner, has fairly hands off with that team and leaves it up to, for you, it would be Scott Jensen, and for Cameron, it would be Dave Weaver. And those guys really, really do run the team quite a bit. I mean, he's obviously there and involved, but it's a little bit of a different dynamic, I think. So it's interesting how that team is made up, and yet you have a big transporter. Do you guys, you and Cameron, will be sharing the lounge, I assume? Is that the plan? Like it's been in the past?
Yeah. I mean, unless something changes from the last test we did, we'll be in the same truck, and I'll have to clean up for Cameron and keep his stuff straight because already at the first test he left a coffee there and it got water everywhere because he has to drink his special iced coffee and stuff like that. So, but no, it's going to be a lot of fun sharing a truck with him, and I mean, of course, I don't have kids myself, but I've got nieces and nephews now, and it's for me it's a lot of fun because I get the fun side of the kids, and I get to swallow them and
then you hand them back.
Have fun, and then give them back. So it's gonna be cool because I'm not a dad, but I can kind of relate to Cameron a little bit, like having a child in your life. So when I'm around him, I can talk to him about it some, and it's going to be cool whenever he can bring his son to the track too.
Yeah.
Wasn't it Gagne that said that he had smelly socks? That Cameron has smelly feet.
Cameron does have a little bit stinky gear. And he has stuff everywhere.
Yeah.
And
like something explodes.
Actually, speaking of his stuff everywhere, he had so much stuff in the truck. I had to, because I drove to the test that we did. I loaded a bunch of his stuff up in my van to ship back to him to get stuff out of the truck. And I still got stuff at the house because from Florida to California, it costs so much to ship. So I'm going to drive home with it to Kentucky and then ship it.
That's funny.
Hey, JD, one thing I want to ask you, your location in the country, similar to my situation, I am able to drive to a fair number of the rounds. Well, obviously you're a superbike rider at this point, so maybe it's not going to work that way, but you're kind of famously known for driving your van to a lot of the rounds. Are you still going to try to do that with as many of them as you can?
Yeah, so actually this year, at least for at Atlanta, the plan is, because Hayden goes and he
right.
camps out and he has his kids and his wife there. And so my plan right now, and I'm doing it for at Atlanta for sure. I mean, so I'll drive there, and I rented a RV for the track so I can camp next to Hayden, but I don't have to listen to the kids cry at night. And just kind of make it more of a family thing and really enjoy being at the track. And my plan now is I'm actually going to bring one of my dogs too. So hopefully if I get on the podium, I can bring him up there. So because I know Chuck just loves it. So.
Yeah, get me in trouble.
Oh,
that was actually the scene of the crime, wasn't it?
It was
Atlanta.
Yeah.
It was Atlanta. That was so awesome. I'll never forget it. And by the way, a couple of things. I'm glad you brought this up because it was so cool that you did that video about signing your contract with Phoenix, right?
Phoenix, yep.
Phoenix, yeah. So one of the things I want to say, in today's National Pet Day, and I know we've got a couple of new people in our group, and I think they reached out to you about your dog, and they didn't realize you have. Is it 6 or 5 dogs?
Well, so between the family, we have five dogs, but Frankly and Madeline, they have 2 dogs, and then we got 3 at the house. But since I'm the only one that doesn't have a normal job, whenever I'm at home, I babysit the dogs. So then I'll take them for rides and play ball and stuff like that.
They all seem to get along really well, and they're not all the same size. Some of them do look a little bit alike, but you got a couple of them that are a little smaller. So you don't ever have trouble telling them apart, do you?
No, it's funny because like I could see them across my field, and I can tell which dog is which. But when people come over, they're like they can't tell the 2 apart when they're standing right there.
It's funny how, to me, I mean, I could tell there's one of them I think is a little bit smaller, but so a few weeks ago, was it Phoenix that took off? Like one of them took off.
Yeah, no, that was Nash.
Nash.
Yeah. So he's still really young, and I don't know why, but like January 4th or something like that, somebody just set off fireworks at night, and I think it spooked him, and he ran off for the night, but luckily he came back the next morning.
But when you say he's one, is he the littler one that I always see, or just a smaller dog? Which one? It's noticeably smaller.
Yeah, he's a little bit smaller, but then Frankie Lee has a dog. His name's Copper, and he's Copper. Pretty small, but because he's a game dog, so like he's like to hunt with.
Right. I think Sean's frozen up here, which means we gotta maybe put a wrap on this show. He's probably here. He probably can hear us. We just can't see him. He's disappeared. Well, anything else you want to talk about, JD? Because otherwise, it's been a pleasure having you on the show as always.
No, man. I think I'm good. I'm glad to be back on the show. It's been mean, I know I did that one at Pittsburgh, but I feel like it's been a few years now. So it's great. It's great to be back on the show. And I mean, I'm like I said before, I'm really excited to be back with the series full time, and I'm looking forward to it, and seeing and seeing a lot of the fans that I haven't seen in a few years, and hopefully I can bring in some new fans too that I met at the flat track races, and we'll have a good season.
Yeah, we'll have a good time, and we're extremely happy to have you back. Everybody at MotoAmerica is excited, and the fans have already asked, and if we're going to get Beach Break going again, so we'll have to do that if you're not too busy. But you normally find time to do that with me, so I'm looking forward to the coming season, as I know you are, and we'll talk again soon. We'll see you at Daytona.
Sounds good. I'll be there.
Thanks, JD.